Every revolution starts with a vision and someone bold enough to pursue it. Kanika Tekriwal didn't just dream of transforming private aviation in India, she made it her mission. A mission to break barriers, defy expectations, and redefine what it truly means to fly private. Through grit and unshakable vision, JetSetGo has revolutionized private aviation, making it faster, seamless, and unapologetically luxurious. As a part of our 10-year, 10-story series, Kanika takes us back to where it all began. Story 4, the founding vision.
So I think, JetSetGo didn't happen over a period of overnight. What we envisioned JetSetGo to be and what JetSetGo actually turned out to be, I think, are two completely different paradigms. When I started JetSetGo, I always thought personally that the problem was going to be, booking planes. I thought I'm going to change the world. I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg if I create an app where people list their planes and people come and book their planes. But the first flight never really happened on JetSetGo. And I remember going home and crying for 3 days and thinking of packing my bags and moving back home because I never thought this was going to work out. But then I said, hang on, let me look back and see what is it that I really need to change. Maybe this was a problem I perceived, but this is not the real problem. And that's when I realized what needs to change in the private aviation industry is primarily service, commitment, quality, delivery. Our first flight got cancelled because the private jet operator who had committed the plane to us, 1 hour before the flight, calls and says his pilot is sick. And we later found out that the flight didn't happen because he gave the plane to someone else. And my question to myself was that, if someone's paying so much money, they're spending a few $100,000 to go from point A to point B, shouldn't they get that least commitment, at least, that if you've paid, you get the plane to arrive? And I think that's when everything changed for us. Going from a booking platform, we slowly evolved into an airline which didn't own any planes. We started managing other people's aircrafts. And the vision always at that time was to make sure people get the safest planes with the best service on time. I remember coming across customers who would tell me that, Kanika, often when planes get spoiled, which is normal, any machine gets spoiled, human beings fall sick. The operators would call them and say the plane's not going to be delivered because of the plane being spoiled. And that's just not acceptable, in an industry. We get so disturbed when an Indigo flight gets delayed or cancelled. Imagine a customer who's paid a few $100,000 to not have his plane turn up because it's been spoiled. So I think it was these issues that we went out to fix. It was very basic stuff. It was basic hygiene, I remember customers telling me that Kanika and other operators' planes, when we've requested pure veg catering, we've been served chicken sandwiches. Come on, if someone's going out there trusting you with their life. If I'll put myself in their place, if I had booked a plane and someone served me chicken sandwiches when I requested for veg food, I'm not going to trust that guy's plane. There's probably something wrong with his engine and his cockpit avionics, right? So I think it was these basic things that we really started off with, and the vision slowly grew into enabling the fastest possible connectivity in the least possible time from point A to point B. From a very young age, I believed that the Jetsons would happen. And I remember in 2018 was when we first started work in the eVTOL space. And everyone laughed at us at that time. Everyone laughed at me when we started JetSetGo. And I think there's this saying, first the world laughs at you, then the world ignores you, then they fight you, and then you win. And I think that's exactly what the journey of JetSetGo has been. When I said I'm going to change the way people fly, everyone laughed at me. I remember the first customer I went to meet said, open a cupcake shop, beta cupcake shop khol lo, boutique khol lo. They didn't think that aviation could be disrupted. They didn't think private aviation could change in India. No one thought that private jets could be made profitable. And I think these are the things we set out to correct and change, which we did, right? And which is when eVTOLs came in and I said, look, I know this is going to happen because, it's a simple belief for me because if you look at the world 70 years ago, cars could only be afforded by very few people, right? And maybe 0.1% of the world could afford cars. Everyone else, you walked. Some people could afford horse carriages, some people rode horseback. And you look at the current day world, at least 30-40% of the world can afford cars, motorbikes, two-wheelers. And that's exactly the way the world's going to propel forward. As technology grows, it becomes cheaper, it becomes more accessible. So I still envision a world where everyone's going to be flying in their private planes, which are maybe 2-seaters, 3-seaters, disrupted, fully electric, hybrid. And I think that's the future for us, and that's the future for the world, a green, clean, air-filled future. I mean, how much more can you dig the earth? How many more tunnels can you build? How many more parking spots can you create for cars? Simple questions I ask myself every day. You go to Bombay, there's no place to park a car. You spend 2 hours on the traffic. What is my vision? What is my mission? My mission is to ensure people spend the least possible time traveling. My personal vision is to ensure that a father can attend 3 meetings in 3 different cities and still make it home on time for dinner with his family. And why not? If we have FaceTime now and we have Zoom meetings happening over Zoom calls, I don't see why the travel technology wouldn't change. I think aviation has been the only sector globally which has not been really disrupted, and that's what we're going to see change in the next 3 to 4 years. You're going to see aviation change completely in terms of you won't need big airports to take off and land from. You won't need big planes. It's going to be the era of personalized mobility. You're going to have bigger planes take you, say, from Bombay to Delhi, but from Delhi, if you want to go to, a city which is like Hisar, where there's no connectivity and you would normally drive 3 hours, you're going to have a smaller plane with 8 seats take you there. Maybe not with maybe with lesser luggage, but yeah, and I think that's the change we want to be a part of. That's the change we want to bring about. I remember the Prime Minister once said, "Hawai chappal wale ko plane mein bithana hai, udana hai," right? And my vision is that, Hawai chappal wale ko personal air mobility taste karana hai.